Okay, but I do have another one. Dear God, no, I am not a business person. Again, it's more just again, Goosebumps was my childhood, and I didn't know what happened to it. I just kind of stopped reading as much. Um, but the next one I want to see is more. I want to watch Mr. Reginald because I found out. So a game I've been playing a lot of is God of Weapons, and I've watched Reggie before. I know about Reggie. But I found out that he had a video on God of Weapons, so I wanted to check it out. Um, all right.
of Weapons is primarily a game about being British, because on a daily basis you will be forced to use
Oh,
complex math. God of Weapons is primarily a game about being British, because on a daily basis you will be forced to use complex mathematical theorems to fit as many knives in your inventory as possible. But why are we doing this? Because we're being attacked by hordes
hold on. What?
to fit as many knives in your inventory as possible. But why are we doing this? Because we're being attacked by hordes of demons, zombies, and worst of all, mosquitoes. We have dozens of classes to choose from, each with their own unique playstyle. For example, the Butcher can stack armor to increase his vitality, and stack vitality to increase his damage. This inevitably leads to a build where you can AFK for days at a time. Some people will call this broken, but I prefer the term exciting gameplay feature. Alternatively, you can play as the King. His superpower is that he's disgustingly rich and deals more damage depending on how much gold he has. Simply buy all the items that increase gold acquisition.
Oh, so a capitalist. It's Hassan's wet dream is what it is. That's the Hassan class.
Make $1 million, boost your damage by 30,000%, and watch your hand cannon atom.
Or Jew. That would work too. Oh my god. Yes, or that too. Oh my god.
Entire groups of peasants. I don't know the lore of this game, but my personal headcanon is that we took some bad DMT and this is all one big hallucination. So when we're running around shooting people with crossbows and calling ourselves the Weapon Master, we're actually just terrorizing society.
You took term of what literally with your avatar? Well, yeah, it's supposed to give an eldritch effect. Why in the world is it censoring four eyes? What? Okay. What? Why in the world does it censor four eyes? What? Is that like a new slur for people with glasses or something? What the heck? No, it doesn't hide nerd. Well, it's probably not hiding anything anymore because I made it show me it now, but that's really weird. Okay.
Calling ourselves the Weapon Master, we're actually just terrorizing society. But that's beside the point, because today we're going to try beating the game on max difficulty using one of the most ridiculous classes, the Lancer. We have minus 15% dodge, but our weapons attack 1% faster and deal 1% more damage for each point of our movement speed. So optimally, we're going to fill our inventory with running shoes and jousting lances, and rip around the map in some kind of drug-induced fugue state while impaling our enemies. Or we'll just get confused, run headfirst into a monster, and die instantly because we have like 50 health. Well, there's only one way to find out. For my starting weapon, I chose the jousting lance because it buffs the movement speed of adjacent items. We enter floor 1 and are immediately beset by an ever-growing mob of evil spirits. I respond by stabbing them in the face with a lance and blowing them up with explosives. Safe to say, we got the better of that exchange. Floor 1 was cleared with no problems, but we still have 19 to go. Since we leveled up from that encounter, we're able to expand our inventory and purchase some new items. I picked up a dusk spinner for movement speed, a hand glass for lifesteal, and I crafted a tier 2 spear to improve my capacity for generalized violence. The spear is very nice, because its range increases for each adjacent polearm.
I don't know how to go back on my keyboard. But that's...
And I crafted a tier 2 spear to improve my capacity for generalized violence. The spear is very nice, because its range
spear sexual, I guess?
increases for each adjacent polearm, and eventually it's able to drone strike enemies 70 feet off screen. Speaking of, floor 2 went pretty good. There were some strange men in robes that displayed all the signs of someone wanting to harvest my organs, but I spent 2 minutes running away and dropping chandeliers on their heads to secure the victory. After picking up another lance, we were on to floor 3, which was populated entirely by these things. Personally, I cannot think of a worse matchup for a flying eyeball than someone who specializes entirely in long pointy objects. We took a little bit of damage, but ultimately survived the floor without much trouble. Back at the shop, I was able to upgrade our second lance. This is where things get interesting, because by arranging the lances like this, I can place movement items between them and double the speed buffs that we receive. With this tactic, we were able to get our movement speed up to 55.
I also gotta remember this, he made this video well before the DLC for God of Weapons came out, which added a lot of shit that, maybe if I can get it to work, I'll, stream God of Weapons. Because I have played it. This isn't, I just wanted to see what he did with it. I've done it, and I've done the speed one. This is child's play compared to what you can do now. And maybe I'll show it one day. I'll play God of Weapons if I can get it to run during stream, and I'll show just how badly you can fuck this up. Like way more than he's doing here. At least as quickly. Maybe he reaches the point I know you can reach later on, but...
%, which you can appreciate on floors 4 and 5, because I spent the entire time outrunning heat-seeking projectiles and accidentally bumping into shit. Unfortunately, my poor coordination dropped us to about 50% health by the time we finished the 5th floor. Now, my inventory may appear to be filled with random garbage, but each one of these monocles increases our movement speed by 6%.
Wait, what was that random garbage?
With random garbage, but each one of these monocles increases our movement speed by 6%, bringing us to a total of 76%. I'd like to go on record in saying that we're not very tanky, and trying to navigate a room full of zombies at 70...
Whoa, why, what the fuck?
6% move speed is very stressful, but I got the job done, and after performing some high-level Tetris, I was able to lubricate and shove an entirely new lance into our inventory. I was feeling pretty confident about things, so I purchased a Dust of Enlarging. It increases our inventory size by 3 squares, but I got the job done, and after performing some high-level Tetris, I was able to lubricate and shove an entirely new lance into our inventory. I was feeling pretty confident about things, so
Of course, when I go back, I have to go right onto it where he starts making sexual innuendos and talks about enlarging. And stuffing things inside, of course.
I purchased a Dust of Enlarging. It increases our inventory size by 3 squares, but spawns 2 bosses on the next floor. To a normal man, this may seem like a tough decision, but I would personally execute thousands of innocent people to increase my inventory by even 1 square. So using the Dust was an obvious choice. We're now on floor 7, and it was a masterclass in avoiding one's problems. Thousands of Discord moderators materialized out of the collective angst of society, and they started chasing me. I ran away. A Minotaur boss appeared and began flailing wildly at me. Again, I ran away. A demon succubus spawned in and tried to sell me her OnlyFans. I tried to run away, but she was teleporting, so it was a bit touch and go. But eventually, I got a
Okay, that's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. Okay.
lucky invincibility power-up and just ran lance first into my enemies while screaming at the top of my lungs. Personally, I would consider being impaled by several jousting lances to be a rather dignified death, so I didn't even feel bad about it. So we finished that floor with no problem, which was when the shop offered me this. The Thunder Spear. Attacks summon a great lightning bolt, which increases in size for each adjacent polearm. As if that wasn't fortunate enough, we also picked up an hourglass, which gives us 1 luck for each point of movement speed we have, which means that after purchasing it, we instantly became the luckiest man on the planet. With close to 100 luck, the shop will now start offering us some very nice equipment. I'm not gonna lie, floors 8 and 9 were pretty easy. I spent the entire time blasting into walls at 90 kilometers an hour and calling down the wrath of Zeus on any...
if I can get it to run without running at like 2 frames per second, I'm definitely going to play this on stream someday, and I'm going to show, depending on how far he takes it, I'm going to show just how far you can take this. And take the, one of the classes from the DLC.
One that came within 50 feet of me. At this point, the only thing that can kill me is me. And that's just the way I like it. As long as I can avoid running headfirst into a group of enemies, we should be alright. Floor 10. We're at plus 128% move speed. A normal person would consider this fast enough, but I take things just a little more seriously. In fact, I've planted a thermite bomb in the basement of a children's hospital, and if I don't gain at least 15% move speed per floor, it's going to automatically detonate, instantly collapsing the entire structure. So really, I'm doing this for the kids. Anyway, I picked up a Plunderer's Flag for 10% movement speed. However, it also increases the amount of enemies on every floor by 10%. This is a dangerous game, because floor 10 was absolutely flooded with enemies, and it didn't help that these red slimes divide in 2 every time you kill them. By the end of it, my health bar was getting absolutely mangled, but my dedication to going faster was only growing. We hit the shop on floor 11 and absolutely balled out. Purchased a scythe for lifesteal, upgraded my lance, upgraded my spear, and to feed my crippling addiction to speed, we also picked up another flag. Finally, in a last-ditch effort to self-induce a mental breakdown, I bought Bloody Teeth. This item spawns an additional boss on every floor, but permanently buffs our damage each time we kill one. If we can pull this off, it'll give us at least 50% more damage by the time we make it to the final level. This resulted in floor 11 spawning a giant eyeball monster that launched like 55 projectiles at us. For a normal human, this would be an issue, but I have dedicated my entire life to role-playing as a version of Usain Bolt with violent tendencies. So I spent 2 minutes running laps around the map while my orbital ion cannon nuked everything with a pulse. Needless to say, things were going good. But before we go any further, I have to tell you something, and you're going to listen. Sometimes I sign too many sponsorship contracts, and it results in me actually having to upload videos, or else I'll go to federal prison. This makes me very uneasy. However, I found a solution, because recently I've partnered with GamerSups, a company that makes delicious and heart-palpitating energy supplements. They give me all the manic energy I need to edit videos until I pass out and slam my head on the keyboard. Sometimes I take so much.
Did he have to use a clip of Onision? Did he really have to? Can I get one bottle of me in it? What in the world? Well, now I'm distracted by that. I was more, like, processing the fact he had to use an Onision. Shit, I'm too tall.
Much that I wake up in the middle of the night and start demolishing my living room with my bare hands before diving headfirst into an empty bathtub. But that's not enough. I want you to join me, because until February 9th, you can use code Reggie for 22% off anything in the entire store. And after the 9th, the code is still good for 10%. Buy these products or I will show up at your house completely naked.
Oh my god!
For the kitchen knives I will have duct taped to my fists. Is that a threat? No.
I'm gonna pray to God that I don't get in
Honor,
trouble for that.
It is a guarantee of physical violence. Alright, now back to the video. We breezed through floor 12, picking up 2 more flags, which increased our movement speed to 179%. Floors 13 and 14 were more of an issue, because the maps were a lot smaller, which triggered my panic response and caused me to run face first into about 40 slimes in a row, reducing our health to 37 by the end. This was concerning, because I genuinely don't think my brain can process the game fast enough to avoid accidentally slamming myself into enemies. And if those were bone giants instead of slimes, I'd be dead right now.
Yeah, that's
but it's not
number
all
one.
bad, because
what you're supposed to do at the point he's in the game is you don't move. And I want to show it sometime on stream. With how fast his weapons should be attacking at this point, if he's done it right, he can literally just stand still and no enemy will reach him except for their projectiles.
the floors have started spawning in these little book stacks. I'd like to think they were put there specifically for me, because each one of them is actually its own model, and they're all physics-based. So when I crash into them at 800 kilometers an hour, the entire stack explodes and sends the books flying across the room like high-velocity shrapnel. The extreme satisfaction I extract from this simple mechanic is almost certainly diagnostic for some form of autism. But that's beside the point. After floor 14, we moved on to the shop, and thanks to our 191 luck, we were offered one of the best Lancer items in the entire game, the Brave Spirit. This saddle reduces our armor by 10, but also increases our damage by 2% for each point of move speed, which currently equates to about a 360% damage buff. Furthermore, it gives us 1% dodge for each percent of movement speed, which instantly caps out our dodge at 80%. It took a lot of organizing to get this to fit, but eventually we got it, and I blasted onto floor 15 with 200% move speed. It's at this point I realized that I was moving so fast I could just phase through solid objects. I used this technique to avoid the bosses for the first 30 seconds, and once they were dead, I was able to actually kill the normal monsters faster than they could spawn.
Yeah.
We have 5 floors left to go, and I'm getting pretty cocky, so I purchased a great deal.
Now it's getting to the point where you just don't even understand what's happening. Thank God to his editing, he's making it comprehensible. I have to. I know I already said it, but I'm definitely someday going to play this on stream if I can get it to run at better than 2 frames per second, that is. And I'm going to show how badly you can break this.
Demon Skull. It gives us a massive damage buff, but combined with the flags, it spawns about 50% more enemies on each level. Evidently, that doesn't matter, because I spent all of floor 16 running around at the speed of light, spawn killing hundreds of demons. Honestly, it no longer feels like I'm trapped in here with them, but rather they're trapped in here with me. Now, technically speaking, my greatest threat to myself is my own navigational incompetence, but I've got a foolproof plan for that. You see, I picked picked up this pair of boots. They increase my move speed, but more importantly, they give us another charge of our dash ability. Just like in Dark Souls, our dash has invincibility frames, which means we can't be damaged while using it. This is strong, but the dash cooldown...
Oh, that reminded me of the clip. Of the dude doing fucking Dark Souls dodge rolls in the boxing ring.
is like 7 seconds, so it's balanced. However, if I can get like 8 of these boots, I think I'll be able to enter a state of perpetual dashing, which will make us functionally invincible. I used this strategy on floor 17, and while I only have 3 dashes right now, it made things a lot less stressful. Floor 18, the third last floor of the entire game. I picked up a Raven's Feather that increases our damage every time we dodge an attack, and we upgraded our lance to give us a total of 232% move speed.
When did this get uploaded? February 3rd. It must have been after the fact that they added because floor 20 is not the last floor anymore. Ever since I first played it, floor 20 was never the last floor. It's the floor where you can, like, exit and say you've completed your run, but there is also an endless mode option after you beat floor 20. I just don't know if Reggie's video here is before or after that was added. Or, if, hell, that may have been there the entire time. I don't know.
Which is best appreciated not by how fast we're moving, but rather by how fast our weapons are attacking. If you hadn't noticed, I'm giving like 70 people the electric chair every 500 milliseconds. That's just one weapon with an attack speed buff from the horse.
To be honest, I'm too dumb to understand power systems, so I just play Doom where they hand you the shotgun and tell them to kill anything that moves. Yeah, no, it took a while. Most of it is just reading item descriptions and understanding, because I'll show it when I play it someday. It'll give descriptions, and basically you get bonuses depending on what items are adjacent to each other. It's really cool.
Simply
he
amazing.
Just makes it look like
I want
a schizophrenic
you to
mess.
No, I need you to imagine the sheer futility of trying to fight me at this moment. You're a demon and you spawn into the floor. The first thing you notice is that blood is dripping from every surface in the room. You briefly wonder why before the sonic boom of my footsteps ruptures your eardrums and drops you to your knees. You look up in agony, but all you can see is a gray motion blur darting across the room. Eventually your eyes focus and you realize it's a man, but he's wearing 6 pairs of boots, 9 monocles, riding a saddle with no horse, and wielding 5 polearms, while seemingly teleporting across the room and impaling your friends. You consider begging for your life, but it's too late, because you look above yourself just in time to see a lightning bolt crash into your skull, vaporizing you instantly. Needless to say, I don't think I took even a single hit on floor 18. Truly, we have ascended to something beyond human, but it's time to go even further. We need to break 300% movement speed. I spent 3,000 gold re-rolling the shop and jamming items into my inventory until I entered floor 19 with 290% move speed. It's not natural to the human mind to try to process moving at this speed, and for the first few minutes you'll feel like you're doing horrible, because you are, but eventually you'll start to get the hang of it. Basically, it's a lot like driving on the sidewalk. Also, while I was in the shop, I picked up this box of bombs. You see, barrels spawn randomly on the map, and sometimes they have gold or power-ups, but this replaces those with bombs that deal 330 damage to everything when they explode. The fun part is that each barrel gets more bombs depending on how lucky your character is, and since we have 300 luck, that looks something like this.
Oh my
So
god.
I spent floor 19 running across the map at the speed of sound, but instead of producing a sonic boom, I just left a
This
bunch
just
of
makes me
pipe
want to play the
bombs in
game,
my
by the way.
wake.
This
Alright,
just
this
makes me
is
want
it.
to play
Our
it.
final shop before the last level. Our inventory is absolutely stuffed, but that didn't stop me from spending a small country's GDP on re-rolling the shop over and over again to find more boots. By the end, I had 4, which allows us to be dashing about 85% of the time. Furthermore, we'll be ripping around the map at 338% move speed. It's time to go. The elevator lifted us onto the map, and I immediately plowed myself through a stack of books for good measure. Dozens of demons started spawning all around me, but that's not the problem. This is the final boss, Hector. He's a skeleton with telepathic control over 10 different swords that he likes to impale you with. He chased me around the map briefly before I managed to detonate 13 bombs in his immediate vicinity, which chunked him for 75% of his health. From there, I just started pressing every button on my keyboard randomly so that he couldn't predict my moves. And after a few more lances to the face, Hector was dead. And there you have it. By cultivating an eclectic collection of garbage and ingesting industrial quantities of methamphetamine, we were able to defeat the final boss of garbage and ingesting industrial quantities of methamphetamine, we were able to defeat the final boss in 15 seconds.
Yep. Okay, so that would explain it. This was he made this video well before they added into the game the ability to go past floor 20. Okay, that makes sense.
Apart from that, we defeated 10,000 enemies, and genuinely, this was a lot of fun. I highly recommend this game. It's like heroin, but without the needles. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you to my patrons for making these videos possible, and finally, thank you for watching.
God, that's so fun. That's so funny. I have to show, like, how badly you can stretch that out, because again, he only scratched the surface of how fucked up you can make it with the, Lancer. Um, but I'd have to do it in a while, because I'd have to make sure everything's unlocked. And I haven't played it in a long time, I only just recently set it up. Um, yeah. And then I have a few others I wanna look at, but, first let me hold on, let me